thank you all for being here, and thank you to the good Lord for this liquid sunshine and the nice warm temperatures that we have here in December. I don't mind standing out here in the rain for a little bit. I don't mind getting a little wet, knowing that those that came before us that did so much for this country, whether they were teaching our children, fighting our fires, policing our streets, delivering our mail, whatever it took to make this country run, those people were screwed by the United States Congress. And this Congress has an obligation to fix that. My name is Edward Kelly, and I'm proud to be serving as the General President of the International Association of Firefighters. And we're part of all this great labor union love that's going to right the wrongs for our senior union members, the servants that serve this country for time and eternal. What's right is right. You know, I was taught when I was a kid the difference between being a thief and a robber. A thief takes from you when you're not looking, and a robber takes from you when you are. This Congress robbed the American people, robbed the middle class. It's time for our leaders in the Senate to bring this to the floor, call for a vote, and let's see who's who. Who's with the middle class and who ain't? I'd like to ask one of our great partners and one of my great friends, the leader of the Fraternal Order of Police, my friend, President Pat Yost. Pat?
Thank you. You know, it's only fitting that we're here in the rain because we've been in the rain for the last 40 years waiting for someone to open the door and let us come back in. Getting what you earned, that's the American way, correct? Unless you're a public employee. You know, if this scheme that's run by the Social Security system, approved by Congress, was run by a money manager or a pension fund, we wouldn't call it elimination or offset. We'd call it embezzlement. We'd call it theft. And that's exactly laws passed by this Congress in order to protect working Americans across this country. Yet we are the only employees in the United States, the only workers in America that is impacted by an antiquated scheme that steals money from public employees. Some of the hardest working people in America are getting screwed because of policies that have been adopted by Congress. For 40 years, every single one of us has been coming in this house. I've sat across for members of Congress year after year after year and listened to one after another tell me we need to fix the Social Security system. And the way that public employees are being treated is just simply not fair. So here we are. The House did their job. They passed this thing overwhelmingly and brought it over here to the Senate. Now it's up to the Senate. So here's my question to people that serve in the United States Senate. Here it is. It's at your footsteps. You have the ability within the next 4 or 5 days, congressional days, in order to fix an inequity that's happened for 40 damn years. What is your response? Is your response the very first thing that you're going to do when you get to touch your hands on something that you've told us for 20, 30 years that needed to be fixed? Is your very first order of business is to delay, ask for hearings, ask for more time? My question to you is, what the hell have you been doing the entire time you've been in the Senate? You've got an opportunity to fix something today, right now, for people that have been screwed for entirely too damn long. We just want to be true. You're not looking for handouts. Not a single person here is looking for a handout. We want what every working American is entitled to, and that is the same benefit that we paid for and paid into a system for. It's time to stop the rhetoric. It's time to stop the delays. Don't let your first order of business in the Senate of touching this bill be to kill it. There's either going to be heroes or there's going to be villains at the end of this vote. That's it. And you got a decision to make. Which one is it going to be? You've had your time in Congress. We're looking for leadership. Be a leader. Fix a problem. There's no reason in the world that you should ask public employees across this country to float a Social Security system when you don't ask other Americans to do the same exact thing. And that's the fact. Stop playing games. It's time to call the vote. Don't let your action be the thing that stops this from finally being fixed. We're watching. America's workers are watching. Our only sin is we chose a path of public service. Stop penalizing us for being public servants. Call for the vote. Do it now. And don't do it as a last order of business. Do it at a time when we can make a difference, not when everybody's walking out the door. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat. You know, this bill's been a long fight, multi-generations. 40 years ago, this robbery took place. We've been fighting ever since. We had a tough battle in the House, but with the support of the Republican leadership, with the fight on the floor of our Democrats, we were able to get it over to the Senate. Now we have that same fight here, and we need to win that fight. And right now we need the leader of the Democratic Senate, the majority leader, our friend Chuck Schumer, to deliver for us now. He's here to talk to you. Give your attention to Leader Schumer. Leader Schumer.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. And I am here to tell you, we are going to call the vote. Okay. Thank you. And first, let me thank my good friends, Ed Kelly of the firefighters, as he says it, the firefighters, and Pat Yose of the FOP. We love our police. Brian Renfro is here from the letter carriers. Is Everett Kelly here from the federal employees?
Everett's on the way. He's on the way.
William Shackelford, Mike Matt Biggs, and our teachers, AFT and NEA. And first, I want to thank all of you for being here. Neither rain, nor snow, nor sleet can stop the workers, the government workers, from getting their Social Security. You're here. So it couldn't have happened without you. And I thank all my brothers and sisters. I'm a labor guy. I came from a union family. The union put me in office. So I know how important this is. And I want to thank all my brothers and sisters from labor across the country for the good fight.
What timing?
All right, I'm going to be quick. I am here to tell you the Senate is going to take action on the Social Security. You're going to find out which senators are with you and which are against you. I got my Democrats lined up to support it. I want you to work. We need 15 Republicans. Let's get them. And we're going to have the vote. What's happening to you is unfair, un-American. I will fight it all the way. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. Thank you, Mr. Leader. Thank you for being here. Let's get this bill done. But this bill started with some sponsors that took the bull by the horns and ran with it. And I'd like to bring up a champion, our co-sponsor, Abigail Spanberger from Virginia.
Oh my goodness, am I excited to see you. I am okay in the rain. I have waited for this day. Now, many of you know the reality that back when I was first running for Congress, I had a woman tell me the story about how she was impacted. Upon the death of her husband, how she was impacted by these provisions, how she saw her retirement shrink upon losing the love of her life because they had both chosen a life of service. And I honestly thought, surely this woman is mistaken. Surely this woman has misunderstood. And I looked into it, and she hadn't. I didn't believe that it was possible that a country that she had served as a public servant could be stealing from her retirement benefits. I didn't think it possible. And so when I got to Congress, I said I am committed to making sure that we repeal the WEP and the GPO, and that every person who's devoted their life to service, retired teachers, retired postal workers, retired firefighters, retired federal employees, retired police officers, that the benefits that they earned through their service would be there for them in their retirement. And I'm the daughter of a career public servant who every single day demonstrated his commitment to our country, who told me as a little girl there's no higher calling than service to country, and I have followed in his footsteps every step along the way. I am grateful to every person here for your commitment to service, to your commitment to our communities and to our country. And we have worked tirelessly to get this done. I am excited about what we saw in the House. 327 people voted for this bill because they know that their constituents across the country who paid into a system, who devoted themselves to service, week by week and month by month, they see their earned benefits taken because of an accounting gimmick that Congress enacted decades and decades ago. And we are two steps away from getting it fixed. When the Senate brings it for a vote, and you all heard Leader Schumer, when the Senate brings it for a vote, the last stop is to go to the president's desk. And I promise you, when this bill goes to the president's desk and finally and completely we see a righting of a wrong that has impacted so many for so long, I will cry tears of joy. But right now, we're going to get it done. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment. Leader Schumer, thank you for committing to a vote. And to every single person who has advocated, who stood in the rain, who stood in our offices, who's made clear that this is a priority, thank you for your advocacy. On behalf of your fellow public servants, you are the reason that we were able to get a vote in the House, that we were able to pass it, and you are the reason it is going to go for a vote in the Senate, and it is going to pass. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Abigail. Now I'd like to bring up my Senator, Massachusetts own Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren. Hey, go get him, Elizabeth. Pick some ass up there.
All right, Senator Schumer says we're going to get the vote. We're going to get this done. People give you a lot here on Capitol Hill. But for us, it was out there fighting for it every day. Schumer stood here and promised a vote because you are here demanding that vote. Without the firefighters, without the teachers, without the nurses, without every government employee who fights for this, we'd be nowhere. And people who need that money would not have it. But because you stood up for yourselves, you stood up for your brothers, you stood up for your sisters, we're going to make change all across this country. Fair is fair, and we're going to get this done. Let's do it.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you very much, Senator. I'd now like to bring up the Secretary-Treasurer of the AFL-CIO, Fred Redmond. Freddie. All right, Freddie.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. On behalf of the 60 unions and the 12.5 million members of the AFL-CIO, I just want to come out and, first of all, thank Ed, thank all of our international presidents, thanks our friends who are here from the House and from the Senate. But most of all, I want to thank you, our union activists. I get to talk to workers every day. And workers all say the same thing. They say they want to work, they want to give it their all, but one day they want to retire with the dignity and the respect that they deserve. Our police, our firefighters, our school teachers, folks who wake this country up every morning and tuck this country to sleep at night. These people deserve the right to retire with dignity, to retire with respect, And an assault against these workers is an assault against the entire labor movement. So look, we want to thank the House for doing this job. We appreciate what Senator Schumer said about taking us to a vote. And the vote means this. You vote for it, you vote in favor and out of respect for the labor movement. You vote against it, you're no friend of the American labor movement. Let's get this done. Let's get this done. And let's make sure that all of our public workers retire, keep their pensions, and have the dignity and the respect they deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fede. I'd now like to bring up one of the greatest labor leaders in the world, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten. Randy.
Are we ready to get this done?
Yeah, baby!
Now, this is what the postal workers say when they say neither rain nor sleet nor any of the conditions will stop us from doing our work. And this work right now, yes, and you're here. Okay, so this work right now that we're doing is righteous work. But this is what we need from everybody. This is an important step. The fact that the House of Representatives, in a discharge petition, bipartisan, got it to the floor and transparent so that everybody had to say which side they were on. That's what they did in the House. You heard Senator Schumer today. That's what's going to happen in the Senate. But, my friends, between now and then, we have to be on that you-know-what, that phone, that text, that face-to-face, because you are the picture of what the injustice is. How is it when we say to people, see, the rain is stopping. When we say to people, we need people to go into the public service, into the Army, into the Navy, being firefighters, being teachers. We say to people, please leave your private service employment, come and work for us. And then what happens is we hurt them. Then what happens is all of a sudden the Social Security that every worker has an entitlement to rely on, all of a sudden they don't have it. They paid for it, but they don't have it. In so many different states that did it because they were trying to save money. This is a federal entitlement since FDR. We in this country have said to all the workers in America that we are going to protect you in retirement. That means public service workers who worked in the private sector for a while. That's what the fairness is here. That's what we need to do, and that's what we need in the next few days to make sure every senator, Republican, Democratic, Independent, every senator understands that your fight is their fight, that your fight is the working people's fight, that your fight is the fight for fairness. So, are you ready to still do a little bit more work? Yeah. Are you ready to fight for fairness in retirement? Yeah. For every worker who has played by the rules? Yeah. For every worker who worked for a minute in the private sector and said, okay, I need that entitlement now. Yes. Wait, where is the yes? The rain stopped. Yes. Are you ready to repeal WEP GPO? Yes. Are you ready to do it for yourself and everyone else who comes after us? Yes. Fantastic.
All right, thank you, Randy. Thank you so much. All right, now I'd like to bring up a champion of the middle class values, someone that came up that way and chose public service and has served ever since, from the great state of Oregon, our friend, Representative Val Hoyle. Val.
40 years ago, my father was president of his firefighters union when this was passed. And for 40 years, He has been fighting along with all of you, people who get up every day to serve the American people. First responders, police and firefighters who get up every day to put their lives on the line to protect and serve our communities. And somehow, day traders and trust fund babies are allowed to get more benefits than you. And that is wrong. And we need to stop it right now, and the Senate needs to do their job. The House did our job in a bipartisan way. And we rode leadership to make it happen, because what's right is right. And there is not one person, everyone up there wants to say, oh, I'm for working people. If you vote no on this, you are not for working people. So my cousin, also a retired firefighter, and he is suffering from the effects of being exposed to toxic chemicals in the fires when he ran in and other people ran out. From being at the World Trade Center for too long, he lived, colleagues of his died, and he said, I paid more into Social Security Trust Fund than these trust fund babies and day traders, and they collect more than me. What is it about working for a living that makes my contribution less? Your contribution is not less. So what I want is for the Senate to do their job so he can collect what he earned while he's still alive to earn it. Thanks for all your work.
Right on. Fair is fair. Thanks, Val. I'd now like to bring up the president of the National Association of Retired Federal Employees, Bill Shackelford. Bill.
Okay. As he said, I'm Bill Shackelford, president of the National Active and Retired Federal Employees Association. I stand here representing the thousands of active federal workers, the thousands of federal retirees, the thousands of spousal annuitants who, because they married an individual who was into public service, they are losing. I also remind you that those military, Army, Navy, Air Force, who left the uniformed service and continued as civilians with the Department of Defense, I represent and speak on their behalf. We have been fighting this fight for 40 years. 40! Now you all know, you've heard the count, 327 to 75 in the House. Now it's time to move it across. Over 60 co-sponsors, 49 of which, if my count is correct, are Democrats. Now let's get the damn Republicans on our side. It is time. We cannot continue. I would like to simply close by simply addressing my closing remarks directly to the United States senators. You have enjoyed the services provided by federal employees, the ones I speak on behalf. Hopefully, you do not need the services of the firefighters. Hopefully, you do not need the services of the law enforcement, but they are there for you. But let us all be real. We are here, adults. How did we get here? We have to thank the teachers. Now, I will say this. Somebody stop the rain. Now, United States Senate, stop the damn steal. Thank you.
Good job, Billy. Thank you very much. Stop the steal. Let me tell you, the champion of Stop the Steal in the U.S. Senate, our sponsor of this legislation from Ohio, Senator Sherrod Brown. Senator Brown, come on up.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the work. Thanks for the activism. Just like when we fixed the pensions of over 1 million union workers, this only happened because you were here every day. This is perfect because you always show up in the rain. You show up in cold weather in January. You show up in hot weather in August. That's how that's how we got things done. That's how we got the PACT Act for veterans exposed to those football field-sized burn pits. That's how we passed that, named after an Ohioan. That's how we passed our pension bill, again, named after an Ohioan. This is so important Now, this is my last rally as a member of the Senate. Okay, well, you're booing the rally or booing me or booing that I'm not coming back. Okay. This is my last bill. I've worked on this bill for years. This always takes too long, but it almost doesn't matter what we do across. It does, of course, but what really matters is your activism. And I've spent my whole career fighting for the dignity of work. The dignity of work was a term started by Pope Leo 120 years ago, the first one to recognize that all work has dignity. He didn't say it this way, I will. Whether you punch a clock, whether you swipe a badge, whether you work for tips, whether you're raising kids, whether you're taking care of an aging parent, all work has dignity. In 1960, thank you. I want to tell you a real quick story. 1968. See, it stopped raining. I can talk longer. 1968 in segregated Tennessee, in segregated Memphis, in a segregated neighborhood, 4 sanitation workers were picking up trash. There was a torrential downpour. The 4 workers crawled into what was, believe it or not, a segregated garbage truck. 2 white workers settled into the cab in relative warmth and dry. The 2 black workers went to the back and crawled in among the garbage and were crushed to death. 2 young fathers were crushed to death because of segregation. Dr. King came to Memphis after that, and Dr. King talked about, before he was killed, he went twice. He went right then he went back 2 months later. When he went, he talked about the dignity of work. No matter what job you do, you have dignity. And I'll close with the story. I've talked to a lot of police, a lot of firefighters, a lot of teachers about this. They're the ones that are getting most of the attention, as they've earned, as they serve us. But I want to talk about somebody else. We did a hearing at a fire station, thanks to the firefighters in Columbus. Don't want to leave them out ever. But we did a hearing with ASME workers, and we had police, fire, we had ASME, we had teachers, we had all kinds of people. A hearing about this bill in that to get some momentum to push this over the finish line. This was late last summer. And there was a woman there who draws a very small state pension. She's benefited from collective bargaining. I would say most people across the street don't really even understand collective bargaining. They don't understand you give up money today so you have a pension in the future. They don't really understand that, but you help them to understand it with these rallies and because you don't give up. But this lady that was there, she was a school bus driver in Southern Ohio. She's driven a school bus for 42 years. She's in her mid-70s. She drives, get this, along the Ohio River 200 miles a day, picking up and dropping off kids. 200 miles a day. She's in her 70s. She started to have arthritis in her hands. She finally had to retire. Now, her pension is based on, as you know, public employees' pensions are based on how much you earn as a school bus driver. You know, you're working 9 months a year, and you're not earning a lot of money. You're not even working 8 hours a day in most cases, and it's hard work, picking up kids, driving 200 miles a day. And so for her, I mean, I think about police, fire, and teachers too. But for her, the small pension she's already getting that she was due because of her work was undercut by this law. And that's, I mean, I think of all of you when I work on this bill, but I especially think of her and how important this is. So when you think about dignity of work, if you love this country, you fight for the people who make it work. That's been my job for 18 years in the Senate. That was my job for 14 years in the House. My wife and I I lost my election, but I ain't quitting. My wife's not quitting. We're staying involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. We appreciate all your work for us. I'd now like to bring up the Vice President of National Educators Association, Princess Voss. Princess, come on up. Go get him, baby.
Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. I am Princess Moss, Vice President of the National Education Association, the largest labor union in our country. It is so great to join you all here today, my union siblings, fighting to finally repeal GPO and WEP. Thank you to all of the senators and representatives for your leadership and unwavering determination to pass the bill. This has been a priority for the National Education Association for 40 years. And it's also been a priority for our affiliates, including presidents from Connecticut, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Massachusetts who are here today. With you, we have never stopped fighting to repeal these unjust penalties that steal benefits, that steal earned benefits by public servants like educators and their spouses. And now we are so close. We are so close. Thanks to our House champions and the House historic bipartisan vote last month, we can see the finish line. It is now time for the Senate to act. Repeal the seal. Repeal the seal. Repeal the seal. Repeal the seal. Yes, these unjust penalties hurt individuals affected and their families. But I need you to understand the damage that they do to the education profession. It makes it hard to attract and keep talented educators, and that hurts our students too. These unjust penalties, especially the GPO, disproportionately impact women, many of whom face poverty in retirement as a result. This is not just an issue of fairness, justice, and respect. This is about the future of the public education profession. Do we believe that if you actually do the work and earn Social Security benefits, that you should receive all of your benefits and not some? If so, it is long past time for the Senate to act. Our voices have led us to the final hill that I know we can climb. What we have done this Congress is remarkable, but the Senate must finish the job. The millions of public servants, including educators nationwide, deserve that. Repeal the seal.
Good job. I'd now like to bring up the champion of the discharge position that lobbied hard, fought hard, corralled his colleagues to get it done, Representative Garrett Graves from Louisiana. Representative Graves.
Just like weather can't shut us down, we're not going to let any obstacle get in our way. Look, this injustice has been going on for 40 years now. For 40 years, your money's been stolen. Your money's been stolen. You've been discriminated against. This is absolutely unacceptable. And despite the odds, despite the fact that no one has been able to get this bill to a vote before the United States House of Representatives, because of what you did, because of what we did, we have actually got this bill through the House of Representatives with an overwhelming bipartisan vote, with a majority of Republicans, a majority of Democrats voting for this bill. This is why people sacrificed their lives hundreds of years ago, for this democracy, for this process where people can come influence, where people can be represented. That's exactly what's happening today. So for 40 years, no one has been able to get this bill for a vote. Y'all fought. We got this bill through the House of Representatives with an overwhelming margin. The momentum is tremendous. So there's one little step in the process. It's called the United States Senate. One little step in the process. I appreciate Senator Schumer committing to putting this bill on the floor for a vote, because that's how we got it through the House. People tried to hide it, oh, we're going to do it in this bill, that. No, I want this all by itself, a vote. Let those people put their money where their mouth is. And that's exactly what we've got to do in the Senate, because all these co-sponsors don't mean a damn thing if they're not given the chance to press the button, to put their thumb up, to say yes, to say aye, and to send this bill to President Biden's desk for signature, where once and for all, this injustice can be addressed. Now look, last thing is this. You have seen polarization, divisiveness in this Congress over the last several years that I've never seen before. I think it's disgusting, personally, I do. One of the things that I love about this bill Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're liberal or conservative. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. This bill's about people. I'm married to a woman who was an educator for 15 years. I know how hard she worked. I know how hard she worked. I depend upon the first responders, the lifesavers like this man right here. Like this man right here, actually one of our constituents. This man right here. I depend upon them. The last thing in the world we need to do is discriminate against people like this. You are absolutely critical for our communities. You're critical for the future. Thank you for continuing to fight. Thank you for not letting weather, for not letting people who tell you no, for not letting any obstacle get in your way or prevent us from doing the right thing, repealing this. Thank you. God bless. We're going to get this done.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Congressman. Our next speaker is a congressman from Minnesota who spent a whole career as a police officer in Duluth, Minnesota. Please give your attention to Representative Pete Stauber. Pete. Go get him, brother.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. The police officers, the firefighters across this nation, the teachers across this nation, that's an earned benefit that you deserve. And I want to tell you something. I talked to a police officer that I retired with. He gave me his stats. He said, Pete, if we don't get this across the finish line, I lose $6,200 a year. That's unacceptable. He earned it. Every firefighter, every police officer, every teacher earned that benefit. And I can tell you right now, we need to get it across the United States Senate. As a police officer for 23 years, listen, I have a public employee pension. During my time as a police officer, my pension, we didn't pay into Social Security. But when I worked at the grocery store, when I worked at the wood treating plant, when I played professional hockey, when I was a city councilor, when I was a county commissioner, when I was a small business owner, I paid into Social Security, and so did you. We are going to get this across the finish line. It's the right thing to do. Doesn't matter political party. We are going to get this done. The U.S. Senate. By the way, if Schumer puts it on, it can pass tonight, and it could be in law. President Biden will sign it by the end of the week. Guaranteed that. The workers, we have waited long enough for this, and I was the 43rd individual to sign that discharge petition. Representative Garrett Graves and Abigail Spanberger, I want to thank you for your leadership on this. We are going to get this done. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. Representative. And now I'd like to bring up another champion of ours in the United States Senate, Senator Jack Reed from Rhode Island. Senator Reed.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, brother. You've earned this benefit. It's not a gift from the government. You've earned it. You have to have it. Your hard work as teachers, as social workers, as firefighters, as police officers has made us all safe, made us all better, brought us together as a community, and for your effort, you deserve full compensation for all the work you've done. Now, I want to commend my colleagues in the House for getting it done over there. Now we've got to get it done. And we're going to try our best to do it because we've got to be faithful to those people who kept faith with us as teachers, as firefighters. And the other reason is my brother is a retired firefighter, and if I don't get it done, I'll get probably chastised. So I'm going to get it done, or try. Let's go.
All right. Thank you, Senator. We want a good Christmas in the Reed house. I'd now like to bring up someone who's been waiting very patiently for us, Congressman Landsman from Ohio. Congressman Landsman.
Hey, well, I just want to thank you all for being here. I'm a former teacher. My parents were teachers. I believe in each and every one of you, and this bill is not just one of the most co-sponsored bills in the United States House, the most co-sponsored bill in the United States Senate. It is one of the most significant things we will do as a United States Congress, and it is because of you and what it means to you. I mean, millions and millions of people all over this country will get the benefits that they paid for, right? And so today, because of your hard work, y'all got the Senate majority to commit to a vote. Is that true? Did I miss that? Which means that a miracle may happen. I was the third person to sign the discharge petition, the third. because I went to Abigail and I went to Garrett and I said, guys, I just want to be part of something big in this Congress. This Congress, we haven't done as much as we should. Let's do this one big thing. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do a discharge petition. We got the 218. We passed it overwhelmingly out of the House. And then it goes to the Senate. We have 63 people, 62, who said they would vote for it. We just needed to get a vote. And today that happened. Schumer said we're going to get this vote, which means in the next couple of days, the United States Senate may be part of what I believe will be a miracle, and that this Congress will pass the Social Security Fairness Act. You will get the benefits that you paid for, and we will do something great for the United States of America and the people who served us for so long, our public retirees. God bless you all. Keep up the hard work. We're going to get it done.
I'd now like to bring up one of the great labor leaders we have in the United States of America, the head of the letter carriers, Brian Renfro. President Renfro.
So the letter carriers are very proud of the way you have all handled this rain this afternoon. Now, thank you to Senator Brown, Congressman Graves, Congresswoman Spanberger, and all the other speakers that we've had for your leadership. We very much appreciate that. We've dealt with this for 40 years. And the public servants that I represent, just like all of you, all over the country, we take great pride in serving our communities. And it really is not just unfair, but it's flat wrong that Social Security benefits are slashed just because someone chooses to be a public servant. Encouraging people to serve their communities, isn't that what we're supposed to do in this country? We've got to do better. Brothers and sisters, on a personal note, I lost my father about 3 months ago. He was a retired letter carrier, a civil service retiree that was impacted and had his benefits reduced by this law. My union has 80,000 retired members. And I hear from those members and their families all the time about this issue. The family member I hear from the most is probably my mother. Now, we've been fighting this for 40 years, but we are closer than we've ever been. And we very much appreciate all 327 members of the House that voted yes. We appreciate all of the co-sponsors in the Senate, but the time for talk and co-sponsors is over. So, we know Leader Schumer is bringing this bill to the floor. So why don't all of us today, right now, let's send a message to every senator in that chamber. We got to practice first. When I say vote, you say yes. Ready? Yes. Vote. Yes. Oh, you only had practice once. All right, here we go. Vote. Yes. For simple fairness. Yes. For the people that have served the constituents in the states that every one of those senators represent. Yes. Vote. Yes. To give those that have served their communities, protected citizens, saved lives, educated our children, the same benefits that they have earned that all the other constituents that those senators represent earn. And finally, vote. Pass the Social Security Fairness Act. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Brian, good job, brother. Thanks, Brian. Thank you very much. And I'd like to bring up the president of the American Federation of Federal Employees, Government Employees, Everett Kelly. Everett Kelly.
All right, thank you, brother. All right. Good evening, good evening. Everybody feeling pretty good in this weather today? Yeah. Listen, why are we in this weather? Because we believe in what we're doing, right? Yeah. I believe in what you're doing. My name is Everett Kelly. I am the proud president of the American Federation of Government Employees, representing over 800,000 federal and D.C. government workers. And over 2/3, 6 to 8% of the that are impacted by the GPO lost their entire Social Security benefits. That's right. Over 500,000 Americans didn't get a single penny of their earned Social Security benefits. What do you think about that? No. Now, this is just not right, right? And what we're asking someone to do today is just simply what's right, and that is to repeal this deal, right? That's what we're going to do. Let me hear you say, repeal the deal. Listen. AFG represents thousands of older federal retirees under the civil service retirement system. I'm one of them. And I came today to let you know that we're going to stand with you. We're going to stand together until this deal gets done. Can we do this together? Yeah! Because there's power when we stand together. There is power in we. We, the people, say we. We want it done. Let's get it done. Can we do it? Yes. Let's do it. Thank you. I love you. God bless. Thank you.
Thanks, Emmett. Good to see you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, brother. And now I'd like to bring up Vice President of the CWU, Margaret Cook. Margaret, come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. And thank you all for braving this weather to stand up for millions of retirees and their families who are counting on Congress to act. My name is Margaret Cook, and I'm CWA, Communication Workers of America's Vice President of the Public Health Care and Education Workers sector, representing over 130,000 union members across the country. Until 5 years ago, I spent my lifetime in public service work, and I can tell you, while I wasn't in it for the money, what I expected was that I could at least count on security when I retired. I'm joining with the other speakers this afternoon to call on Congress to pass the Social Security Fairness Act and fix the broken promise to millions of workers who are punished by the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. For decades, tens of thousands of my members and their families have asked for a fair deal and to fix this unjust policy, along with millions of public sector workers who have seen their retirements unfairly slashed and reduced after lifetimes of serving their communities. It's just not right. I think about regular folks who have dedicated their lives through careers of service. Folks like CWA member in Columbus, Ohio retiree Susan Wilson, who got up and went to work every day for decades to help with the nutritional needs of children in her city and serve those in real need. Susan didn't ask for much from that work, but what she counted on was being able to retire with dignity and security in the community that she worked so hard to strengthen. Those are the kind of workers who the WEP and GPO punish, even after lifetimes of paying into the Social Security systems. And those are the kinds of citizens that HR 82 will right the wrongs for and make whole as they seek to enjoy the retirement that they so justly deserve. There is simply no reason for this bill not to get 100 votes in the Senate. Millions, yes, millions of working class people, the people who make our communities work each and every day, are counting on this Congress to act. That's what we're out here for today, to make sure they hear us. So let's get this legislation passed. Let's do what's right, and let's secure retirement for every person in this country. Solidarity forever.
Yeah, man! Good job, Margaret. Thank you, sister. I'd now like to bring up Matt Biggs from the Engineers Union. Matty, come on up.
Hey, everybody. Hey, I'm proud to stand here as president of the International Federation of Professional and Technical Engineers. We represent federal employees, state and local employees. That's about 2/3 of our union. So others came up here. Brian said he hears from his retirees all the time, so do we. And we hear from people in the future that are going to be screwed by this unjust law. So I'm proud to stand here today. I thank the firefighters for sponsoring this. I thank the sponsors of the bill. I thank all the bipartisan support for the legislation. I will say this. It's deplorable that we have a United States Congress that prioritizes tax cuts for billionaires in corporations over this legislation for 4 decades. 4 decades. And that as we stand here right now, the incoming administration and the incoming Congress are talking about prioritizing those tax cuts and renewing them. It's deplorable. They prioritize that, but not this. So it was heartening to see Senator Schumer today say he's going to schedule a vote on the bill. It's critical. Last time I checked, which I think was yesterday, this bill has 62 co-sponsors in the Senate. That means it's filibuster proof. It's filibuster proof. That's right. Call to vote. So Schumer's going to put the bill up. We thank Leader Schumer. He's a strong supporter of labor and workers, and puts the bill up. It's going to pass, and President Biden's going to sign it. So call the bill up. Thank you.
Right on. Thanks, Maddie. I'd now like to bring up Louis Cartwright from AFSCME, the Ohio School Teachers. Louis.
Good afternoon. I am that face that Randy said you needed to see. My name is Lois Carson, and I am the proud president from OPSI-ASME, Ohio Public School Association. I worked 37 years and continue to work in public education in the city of Columbus. I educate workers. I support our workers. I am one of the workers affected by the injustice of the government pension offset. But I speak for tens and thousands of AFSCME members who see our Social Security benefits unfairly cut because of the GPO and WEP provision. It is ridiculous. We have our Social Security cut simply because we have a pension. We paid into the system just like anyone else. We are not asking for a handout. We are asking for what we paid into it. Because of our hard work, we passed the Social Security Fairness Act through the House with a resounding bipartisan vote. It's time for the Senate to get off their butts and ask for the vote. Ask for the vote. What do we want? We want the Senate to ask for the vote. My husband was a public worker for the city of Columbus for 26 years, but he also worked a second job. In that second job, he paid into Social Security. I currently am not eligible to get his Social Security that he paid into. When I go to retire, I will only get a third of his Social Security because of the WEP GPR. Since his death, I receive his public pension, but I will never, until this bill passed, receive all of the Social Security that he paid, that I paid, as a private worker and as a public worker. So again, I want to help financially support my daughter. 37 years, I'm still working. I have coworkers who have worked 42 years that Senator Brown talked about. She's one of the members I represent. Most of us will work until we die because we can't afford to retire on our pension alone. We counted, so much counted, on our spouse's retirement and Social Security, which they're going to cut and keep a third of. So stop screwing us, widows, and give us what our spouses paid. Call the vote.
Yeah,
Call the vote.
Great job. Great job. Great job, and that's the truth. That's what this is about. I'd now like to bring up Rich Fiesta from the American Alliance of Retired Employees. Rich, come on up.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
On behalf of the Alliance for Retired Americans, over 4 million union retirees, community retirees, and people who are wannabe retirees someday, we are here too to say call the vote. I want to thank our members, many of whom have literally traveled across the country who are here today. It started with a small Zoom account 4 years ago during the middle of COVID that they started talking to each other from Maine to Alaska. It grew, it's been growing. We're here with all of our allies as retirees to say we played and paid by the rules. We paid and played by the rules for 40 years. And the last time I looked, everybody in Congress is getting paid this December, right? They need to do their job. They need to call the vote. Call the vote. Call the vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Richie. I'd now like to bring up Judy Beard for the American Postal Workers Union. Judy. Go get him, buddy.
On behalf of the American Postal Workers Union, President Mark Demestein, Retiree Director Nancy Alumacore, and our 200,000 members and retirees, I would like to extend a big thank you to the House and Senate sponsors. And of course, we are here today in this rain just before the holiday with a wish. And our wish is to repeal the retirement benefits that we deserve. Repeal the retirement benefits that we deserve so that we can get what we deserve every day. There is still time before the Senate go home. Give us something to celebrate during the holidays, that we're going to get our money. Countless seniors are suffering across the country because they stole our money. This has been going on for 40 years. The Senate now has an opportunity to fix this injustice. Let's shout out to the Senate right now so that they can hear us. When I say, what do we want? You say, repeal GPO and WEP. When I say, when do we want it? You say, now. What do we want?
Repeal GPO WEP.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Repeal GPO WEP.
When do we want it?
Now.
Thank you.
All right, good job, good job, good job.
All right, as we wrap this up, let me just, if I could, first I want to thank IAFF for helping coordinate this. And on behalf of the 380,000 members of the Fraternal Order of Police, many who are impacted by this unfair provision, thank you for coming out and showing our support. You know, for way too long, we've all come here, all of us, talking to our members in Congress, both in the Senate and the House, and they take pictures with us and they post it on the social media talking about how they support the firemen, they support the police, they support the teachers, they support public workers, and they put their arm around us and they give us smiles and grins. Well, you know what? Today, you get to prove to us whether or not you actually do. The House has done their job. It's time for everyone else to do theirs in the Senate. There's no reason this bill should not pass easily across the Senate and get it off to the president so we can sign it and finally stop the steal. I want to finish with just one thing. You know, the House, trying to justify some in the House of why they should not pass this bill, came up with the number of $190 billion of which it would cost or impact on a system over the next 10 years. Not once realizing what they did is just acknowledge that they planned on stealing another $190 billion from public employees over the next 10 years. In fact, it's estimated that it's hundreds of billions of dollars that have been stolen over the last 40 years. At what point are you going to say enough is enough? It's time to fix this. It's time to fix it now. We got to this point. We got to this point because of the hard work of workers across this country saying we finally had enough and started working and everybody rowing in the same direction. And when we do that, they have to listen. And all you have to do is look at the House and see what happened. So Ed, President Kelly, all of the fellow unions here, all of us, today is the day that we end this bullshit and put an end to it and give Americans what they're entitled to, and that is a benefit like every other American. We are not second-class citizens. We are public employees and damn proud of it, and it's time that we be recognized for the sacrifice that we've done. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Ed.
All right, listen, thanks for coming, everybody. Let's get across the street. Call those phones, text them, do whatever we got to do. Shake their tree. God bless everybody, and God bless America.